Luxury fashion is full of brands fighting to stay relevant, yet somehow Moncler is the one rewriting the rules. Not through handbags, not through couture, but through a puffer jacket. And depending on who you ask, that's either brilliant or absurd. What makes the story so compelling is the contrast. A company created to protect workers from freezing temperatures now sells some of the most recognizable status symbols on the planet. And behind that shine is a journey far more complex than most people realize. A brand born in a small French mountain village managed to turn itself into one of the most influential forces in modern luxury. And as its power grew, so did the questions. How did technical gear become a $2,000 fashion essential? Why does Moncler thrive while so many other luxury houses are struggling? And what do its controversies reveal about the industry that helped shape it? This is the strange, fascinating rise of a brand everyone recognizes, even if very few understand how it got here. Moncler's story begins far away from the glamour it commands today. In 1952, René Ramillon and André Vincent founded the company in the small village of Monestier de Clermont near Grenoble, producing quilted jackets to protect workers from harsh Alpine conditions. They were heavy, practical, and designed with one purpose: survival in the cold. But the durability of those early pieces quickly caught the attention of professional mountaineers. By 1954, Moncler jackets were worn during the Italian expedition to K2. A year later, they were used on Makalu. And in 1968, when the Winter Olympics were held in Grenoble, Moncler became the official supplier of the French Alpine ski team, a turning point that firmly connected the brand to high-performance cold-weather gear. What followed in the 1980s was something no one could have predicted. Under fashion designer Chantal Thomas, the padded jacket gained a new silhouette and new cultural meaning. Teenagers in French and Italian cities adopted it as a statement piece, and the puffer moved from the mountains to the streets. It was the first time Moncler operated outside its original purpose, and it hinted at an opportunity the company didn't yet know how to use. Because by the late 1990s, the brand had lost momentum. Competition increased, the aesthetic felt dated, and Moncler's identity had faded into a mix of technical heritage and unfocused street appeal. This was the state of the company when Remo Ruffini, an Italian entrepreneur with a sharp instinct for brand positioning, acquired it in 2003. The timing looked risky. The potential wasn't obvious. But Ruffini saw something that others didn't: a market hungry for luxury outerwear long before the idea even had a name. He didn't try to turn Moncler into a fashion house. Instead, he centered it around a single powerful product: the puffer jacket. He refined the silhouette, elevated the materials, tightened the distribution, and repositioned the entire brand from utilitarian outerwear to high-end luxury. Prices rose, boutiques became more selective, and the puffer transformed into a hero item, the kind of piece that communicates identity with one glance. This shift didn't erase Moncler's heritage. It weaponized it. The mountaineering legacy gave credibility, while the new luxury positioning gave desire. And in a world where outerwear was becoming a year-round category, Moncler suddenly occupied a space no one else owned. By the time the brand entered the 2010s, the transformation was complete. The once practical mountain jacket had become a symbol of status in cities across Europe, Asia, and the US. Moncler wasn't competing with sports brands anymore. It was competing with the top tier of luxury. And increasingly, it was winning. By the time Moncler reestablished itself as a luxury force, one reality of the industry had become impossible to ignore. Relevance had a shorter lifespan than ever. Consumers were no longer waiting for winter or for runway seasons. They were reacting to whatever appeared in their feed that morning. Most brands struggled to keep pace with that new environment. Moncler, instead of resisting it, decided to build a system that operated entirely on its terms. He called it Genius, a complete restructuring of how collections were conceived, released, and communicated. Instead of relying on a single creative director, Moncler invited a group of leading designers, from Pierpaolo Piccioli to Craig Green, Richard Quinn, and Simone Rocha, to each create their own capsule. These weren't seasonal collections, they were monthly cultural events. Every drop had its own story, aesthetic, and audience, giving customers a reason to pay attention long after a typical runway show would have faded. The effect was immediate. Web traffic surged by more than 50%. Revenue jumped 22% in a single year. Stores that once relied on winter tourism suddenly saw steady, year-round demand. Genius didn't just create desire, it programmed it. By spacing releases across the calendar, Moncler inserted itself into the daily feed of consumers who were constantly looking for something new. But Genius wasn't just a marketing shift. It was a cultural shift. The shows became experiences rather than presentations. One season took over an entire warehouse in Milan. Another unfolded through immersive installations instead of a runway. Creativity no longer lived in a single vision. It became a rotating system powered by talent with global followings. And in a digital era defined by hype, rarity, and speed, Moncler found itself in the perfect position. Each drop felt limited, each collaboration felt exclusive, and every campaign generated high-value visibility across Instagram, WeChat, TikTok, and fashion media. Ruffini didn't just adapt to the new world. He architected a strategy that other luxury brands would study for years. What made Genius so effective was the balance it struck between heritage and novelty. The puffer remained the anchor, but its interpretation changed constantly. Consumers could choose a sculptural downcoat from Piccioli, a utilitarian piece from Craig Green, or a romantic silhouette from Simone Rocha, all recognizably Moncler, yet all distinct. That flexibility allowed the brand to speak to multiple demographics at once without diluting its core identity. By the early 2020s, the results were unmistakable. Moncler was no longer known solely for technical excellence. It had become a content engine, a collaboration hub, and one of the most culturally visible luxury brands in the world. And while competitors tried to replicate the formula, none managed to match the precision with which Moncler controlled desire. Genius had proven something important. In modern luxury, relevance isn't inherited, it's engineered. But as Moncler's cultural presence grew, so did the scrutiny. A brand built on technical credibility couldn't avoid the conversation around animal welfare, especially once downsourcing became a global concern. The turning point came back in 2014 when an investigative television program in Italy alleged mistreatment in parts of the down supply chain. While Moncler denied direct responsibility, the story sparked a much broader debate about how luxury brands source their materials. The company responded by implementing its own traceability system, the DIST protocol, designed to certify the origin and treatment of animals used in its production. In 2022, Moncler also committed to going fur-free, phasing out one of the most controversial aspects of outerwear manufacturing. But even with these initiatives, independent sustainability groups continue to rate the brand lower than its luxury peers. Environmental analysts point out that Moncler still relies heavily on materials with significant ecological impact, such as virgin nylon and animal-derived fibers. Others note that the brand publishes limited information about emissions, water usage, and long-term reduction targets. The tension here is clear. Moncler speaks the language of responsibility, yet its transparency remains incomplete, and the complexity of the down industry makes full assurance difficult. It's a challenge shared across luxury outerwear, but one that stands out more sharply for a brand so dependent on a single material. The debate doesn't stop at sourcing. Pricing has become another flashpoint. Moncler jackets often retail well above 1,500 euros, with many models exceeding 2,000 euros, and some limited pieces climbing far higher. Supporters argue that the craftsmanship, insulation quality, and engineering justify the cost. Critics counter that similar warmth can be found at a fraction of the price, raising the question of what consumers are truly buying. In cities across Asia, particularly in markets like South Korea and China, discussions have emerged about the gap between functionality and prestige. Some younger consumers are opting for more affordable technical alternatives, even while Moncler continues to hold strong status appeal. And then there's counterfeiting, an issue that might seem separate from sustainability, but reveals much about the brand's cultural positioning. Moncler is one of the most faked luxury labels in the world, prompting the company to invest heavily in authentication technology and win notable legal battles, including a landmark case in China that granted the maximum allowable damages. The scale of counterfeiting underscores the duality of Moncler's influence: immense desirability paired with immense vulnerability. Taken together, these fault lines form a picture of a brand navigating the complexities of modern luxury. Consumers want performance, ethics, transparency, and status, often all at once, and no company can satisfy every expectation perfectly. For Moncler, the question becomes whether its brand power is strong enough to absorb the criticism without losing momentum. While much of the luxury sector has spent the past several years adjusting to weaker demand, Moncler has managed something unusual. It continues to grow. Even as European and American consumers pull back, the brand maintains momentum in Asia, where outerwear still carries strong symbolic value. In 2025, Moncler reported revenues of more than 2.7 billion euros, helping push the group past 3.1 billion, a result that surpassed analyst expectations at a time when many heritage houses were posting declines. The contrast raises an inevitable question. Why does Moncler thrive when others struggle? Part of the answer lies in the structure the brand built long before the downturn. By tightening its distribution and prioritizing its own boutiques, Moncler created a controlled ecosystem where pricing, presentation, and assortment remain fully aligned with its luxury positioning. There is no chaotic discounting or oversupply. Even airport boutiques, which often dilute luxury perception, operate as curated extensions of the flagship network. This discipline preserves the aura of exclusivity that many higher volume brands gradually lose. Product strategy has also played a defining role. Moncler may be synonymous with outerwear, but the company has worked steadily to build a year-round wardrobe. Knitwear, footwear, ready-to-wear, and the performance-driven Grenoble line allow the brand to engage customers far beyond winter. At the same time, the acquisition of Stone Island in 2020 expanded the group's reach into technical menswear and subculture-influenced design. Instead of stretching Moncler's identity, the addition strengthened the group's overall positioning in the premium outerwear and lifestyle space. Yet, even a strong brand faces structural risks. Outerwear remains a seasonal category, influenced by climate change, shifting weather patterns, and unpredictable demand cycles. If winters continue to warm or become more irregular, brands anchored in performance jackets must adapt. Moncler has been preparing for this reality through category diversification, expanding Grenoble and introducing lighter transitional pieces. These moves are not just creative choices, but strategic hedges against a world where winter no longer reliably drives sales. But growth creates its own pressures. As visibility increases, the risk of overexposure becomes real. Maintaining desirability requires careful restraint, expansion without dilution, innovation without fragmentation, consistency without stagnation. The Genius strategy solved part of this challenge by creating a continuous stream of high-impact cultural moments, but it also raised expectations. Consumers now look to Moncler not just as a luxury brand, but as a leader in shaping the visual language of modern outerwear. By the end of 2025, Moncler's collections reflected this shift. The brand leaned further into seasonless silhouettes, expanded its Grenoble offering, and introduced hybrid performance luxury pieces aimed at younger consumers in Asia. Early 2026 results suggested that this approach was working. Moncler entered the year with renewed momentum, positioning itself as one of the few European luxury brands capable of navigating a market defined by uncertainty. Leadership is also entering a new phase. After more than 2 decades defining Moncler's identity, Remo Ruffini is moving from CEO to executive chairman, with Bartolomeo Rongone, formerly CEO of Bottega, taking on the role of leading day-to-day operations. Ruffini's vision shaped nearly everything that made Moncler powerful: the repositioning, the distribution logic, the creative structure, the understanding of modern desire. Whether this power is now embedded deeply enough in the brand to outlast its architect remains an open question. After everything, Moncler's story leaves us with a simple but revealing question. What are we really paying for when we buy into a brand like this? Is it the craftsmanship, the heritage, the performance, or the identity that comes with being seen in it? And if a jacket can hold this much cultural weight, what does that say about the future of luxury itself? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.